deliberated with the governors, and we agreed we go the urban governance route. And so the Urban Areas and Cities Act was able to capture that phenomenon. So we don't have mayors, we have got municipal managers, and we have got chairmen of the board. In the first Kenya Urban Support Program, Your Excellency, as I said, we established 59 new municipalities. We gave them charters, they have boards, and we gave them $350 million for a period of 6 years in which they were able to do urban infrastructure and also put in the program through our partners, the World Bank. The ticket amount remains the same, it's $350 million. However, we have increased the number of municipalities to 77, and then we have 2 special municipalities which are in the refugee areas, which are Dadaab and Kakuma. So in total, we are going to have 79 municipalities. Your Excellency, in the first dispensation, we had $20 being allocated for every urban person. However, because of the increase in the number of municipalities, we will have $18 per urban population. So therefore, one of the things that we're going to be calling upon the governors to do is to set aside money to support these municipalities. With that introduction, Your Excellency, it is now my great pleasure to invite the chair of the Urban Committee within the COG, His Excellency Anyang' Nyong'o, the Governor for Kisumu, to come and make his remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Samuel Ruto William, Your Excellencies, the governors present here today, including our chair, Anwar Guru, the World Bank representative and his staff, cabinet secretaries present, and my fellow governors assembled here this morning for this great occasion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today, Your Excellency, marks a pivotal moment in our journey towards building vibrant, sustainable, and inclusive cities. As we gather here for the launch of the second Kenya Urban Support Program, we embark on a mission that holds the promise of transforming not just the physical landscape of our cities and urban areas, but also the lives of millions of people who call these cities their home. For example, Your Excellency, the majority of our people walk to work or to play in our cities. They need safe walking ways that we call non-motorized transport, or NMT. Urbanization, Your Excellency, one of the defining trends of our time. Cities are not just centers of economic activity. They are crucibles of innovation, hubs of culture, and engines of progress. Yet, with rapid urban growth comes a host of challenges, from congestion and pollution to inadequate infrastructure and social inequality. The task before us is clear, Your Excellency. We must embrace the opportunities presented by urbanization while addressing its associated complexities. The program we're launching today is built on the principles of sustainability, resilience, and equity. The development objective is to strengthen the capacities of urban institutions to do the following, Your Excellency. 1, improve the delivery and resilience of urban infrastructure and services. 2, enhance the private sector engagement in urban planning. And 3, support the transition of refugee camps into integrated host community refugee settlements, especially, Your Excellency, in areas which are prone to natural disasters. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, sustainable urban development is more than just bricks and mortar. It is about fostering communities where every individual has the opportunity to thrive regardless of their background or circumstance. Central to this approach is the concept of inclusive urbanism. We recognize that the true measure of a city's success lies not in the skyscrapers or GDP, but in the well-being of its residents. This means ensuring that our urban spaces are accessible to all and they are safe, clean, and green, and they offer ample opportunities for employment, education, and recreation. Your Excellencies, fellow governors, ladies and gentlemen, achieving this vision requires more than just government action. It demands collaboration and partnership across sectors and stakeholders, from the public and private sectors to civil society and local communities. It requires us to harness the power of technology and innovation to create smarter, more efficient cities. And it calls for bold leadership and long-term commitment to see our plans through to fruition. As we embark, Your Excellency, on this journey through the launch of the second Kenya Urban Support Program, let us remember that the true test of our success will not be measured in ribbon-cutting ceremonies or press releases, but in the tangible improvements we bring to people's lives. And finally, Your Excellency, let us strive to build cities that are not just sustainable and prosperous, but also compassionate and inclusive. And let us leave a legacy that future generations will look back on with gratitude and pride. Your Excellency, the future is urban. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Governor. As I call the chair of the COG, Your Excellency, allow me to expound on the point that urban areas are missing in Schedule 4. We had made a presentation to NADCO that it be, as we amend the Constitution, if we will, that this has to go in there. Because, Your Excellency, our devolved governments, we have the national government, then the next level of government is actually cities. Then below that, of course, we have the counties, we have municipalities, we have got towns, and then we have got markets. The cities that have been chartered, the only thing we have had, Your Excellency, are beautiful ceremonies. The day after, nothing changes because there is no formula for allocating monies to those urban areas. So it's a very important subject that we need to discuss as I invite the chair of the Council of Governors to come and make her remarks. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Public Works and Housing, Honorable Alice Wahome, other Cabinet Secretaries present, the World Bank Country Director, UN Resident Coordinator, Principal Secretaries present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a great honor for me to be part of this momentous launch of the second Kenya Urban Support Program, commonly known as KUSUP 2. First, I consider this program a major milestone in our drive to build resilient cities and urban areas with enhanced quality of life for current and future generations. Secondly, let me take this early opportunity to sincerely thank you, Your Excellency, the President, for your leadership and resolve towards demand-driven programs which offer the opportunity to pursue long-term development strategies and interventions tailored to the specific needs of our residents and especially those at the bottom of the pyramid. This paradigm shift has the potential to transform Kenya's economic development trajectory significantly. The second Kenya Urban Support Program, KUSP2, builds on the foundation set by Phase 1, KUSP1, which was rated as satisfactorily implemented by the World Bank. The first phase saw massive investments in urban infrastructure and services within the 59 benefiting municipalities in the 45 benefiting counties, which included 202 kilometers of roads improved, 171 kilometers of non-motorized transport, 192 kilometers of stormwater drainage, 31 kilometers of sewer line, 12 fire stations, 12 recreational facilities, and 16 retail markets, benefiting over 20,000 traders and creating over 200,000 jobs, amongst others. Your Excellency, further, I wish to note that apart from the establishment of the 59 benefiting municipalities, county governments have been able to establish more municipalities. Today, we have 107 chartered municipalities. I also wish to let you know that during this program period, Nakuru municipality was elevated to city status, and Eldoret and Thika municipalities are currently in the process of being conferred the city status. Your Excellency, allow me to sincerely thank the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development for truly embracing Article 6.2 of the Constitution of Kenya, which calls for consultation and cooperation between the two levels of government during the design program. The Council was particularly impressed with the participation of county governments through the Lands and Housing and Urban Development Committee led by His Excellency Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. The numerous meetings held between the committee and the program design team was a clear testimony of inclusive participation and collaboration. The launch today marks commencement of the implementation phase of the program. I would like to underscore that county governments and their urban institutions are committed to full implementation of the program. This will be guided by numerous lessons learned in KUSP1. Your Excellency, urban residents are the most affected by climate change due to poor planning, housing, and lack of basic infrastructure, which is resilient to the climate shocks. Programs like the Affordable Housing Program and the Kenya Urban Support Program will help address these challenges. We look forward to collaborating with the Affordable Housing Board to transform our urban areas. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I wish to note that rapid urbanization remains a global challenge, particularly in emerging countries like Kenya. To address this challenge, Your Excellency, there is need for dedicated financing of this expensive urban infrastructure and services. I therefore appeal for a dedicated urban financing model or fund from the Exchequer, complemented by development partners, the private sector, and indeed county governments. On behalf of the Council of Governors, I once again thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Anne Waiguru, the Chair of the Council of Governors. Your Excellency, I need to understand that the Governor for Nairobi is here, and would like to ask him to come and just officially welcome us. As he comes, Your Excellency, you will note that the Kenya Urban Support Program is within 45 counties. It excludes Mombasa and excludes Nairobi, simply because the two counties are too big and their needs will gobble up the entire ticket. But we have another program for them. Thank you.
The PS had to make that disclaimer because, Your Excellency, I many times don't agree on why Nairobi is considered big. Your Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, Waziri Alice, Waziri Kindiki and Professor Ndungu, colleague governors led by our chair, development partners, the World Bank, country director, and everyone who's here today. I've been asked to welcome you here. I don't know if I'm allowed to, because this is State House. But generally, welcome to Nairobi. This program is indeed important for us, because the future is greatly urbanizing. Our cities are urbanizing. By, I think, 2050, 65% of the world's population is going to be in cities. In Nairobi, for instance, we'll have 10.5 million people in this capital city by the year 2050. We need to think hard about how we future-proof our cities. I think the challenges that we've seen in recent days in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of housing, in terms of the drainage systems, tell us that there's need to plan for that future today. And we really want to thank the World Bank for the support that they've been offering our country in looking at our municipalities. Now, one appears where I may not agree with the CUSP omitting Nairobi and Mombasa is that there are many ways through which we're also decentralizing our services. In Nairobi, we are now undertaking a system of restructuring our capital into boroughs. We are going to have 6 boroughs: Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Southeast, that will step down decision-making, will create more centers of customer service. The County Government Act talks about service-oriented government, and that, I think, needs quite some support. Before, we had NAMSIP, NAMSIP 1, that looked at the metropolitan areas. Many times, the urban poor are neglected. If you look at interventions that have been there, for instance, the resilience and just securing livelihoods for our people in the lower areas, food support, hunger, attention is given to the arid areas, attention is given to the rural areas, but urban poverty many times, and Senator Governor Kihika and Governor Nyong'o, you know what I'm talking about, that those in informal settlements many times suffer much, much more. We say Nairobi ni shamba ya mawe. If you don't have resources, you'll have nowhere to stay, you'll have nothing to eat. There's more community in the rural areas. So we really want to ask that you support, and we can come up with a new program for the cities. If you look at some of the things that Mombasa has to grapple with, and Kisumu has to grapple with, and Nairobi, for instance, street lighting. Street lighting, the bill is on the county, but if we switch off the lights, it's a national security problem. Should that be a bill that is left to the formula of devolution, or should there be specific support to these cities for functions such as those? The Urban Areas and Cities Act envisions or envisages special financing for the capital and special financing for such interventions. My colleague governors, I want to encourage you as you move to municipalities and as you create these new urban areas to also know that it comes with certain challenges. Number one, you will lose a lot of what you call political homogeneity when you create municipalities and cities. The people who come there might not be of the same political strand, and that is why you have to do a lot of balancing, as we have to do in the city. Number two, as you create those centers, and I'll give an example. In Kakamega, I don't know if the governor of Kakamega is here, around Sigalagala, because of the technical training and the university there, it has become almost a new city. There is pressure on housing. Sigalagala is just on your left as you go towards Kakamega from Bungoma. It has become an entire, almost a metropolis with people from different parts of the country and a huge strain on our resources. So we hope, in long and short, that you can help us just look at the economic issues that we need support on. In Nairobi, we're undertaking a planning process of Vision 2050 to look at, yes, we know that there will be 10.5 million people then. What do we need to do today? And how do we then move this into 10-year plans? We hope we can get support from that. We have not yet gotten support in that planning process. Your Excellency, we've discussed how you can help us, even just with the technical teams, because the future is not going to plan itself. So, Bwana PS, thank you. We will still make a case for Nairobi and Mombasa on COSP, but also on the Kenyan Urban Mobility Improvement Program. Your Excellency, the PS says there's a bigger program that looks at the cities, but this program, the prioritization has not been done by the county. And so a huge chunk of those resources are going to commuter rail, yet we know the challenges. Yesterday, you were in Mathare. You saw the challenges those people have, in terms of mobility, in terms of housing, in terms of livelihoods. We need to focus on those. So thank you, and welcome to Nairobi. Asante.
Your Excellency, allow me now to invite the country director for the World Bank, Keith Hansen, to come and make his remarks.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, Honorable Governors and Deputy Governors present, Cabinet Secretaries, all other government representatives present, Dr. Stephen Jackson, United Nations Resident Coordinator and Development Partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, and good morning. Your Excellency, it gives me and all my World Bank colleagues great and genuine pleasure to join you today at the launch of the second phase of the Kenyan Urban Support Program, which seeks to enhance the effective management of Kenya's crucial urban areas. The World Bank recognizes the importance of cities as the engines of economic growth. Globally, cities generate 80% of GDP and are therefore central to achieving the World Bank's pursuit of reducing poverty and boosting shared prosperity on a livable planet, as well as Kenya's own goals as captured in the Vision 2030 and other imperatives. Cities are also key, as we just heard from the Chair of the Council of Governors, to combating global crises such as climate change and pandemics. The concentration of people and assets in cities aggravates the risk of exposure to adverse natural events such as climate change and pandemics, which makes sustainable investment in cities critical. For this reason, the World Bank has been in the forefront of supporting governments to ensure effective urban development and to create green, inclusive, and resilient cities through financing projects that provide the relevant infrastructure and services to attract and sustain private investment, reduce disaster risk through urban drainage and flood management, to support cities to enhance their own source revenue, and to enhance urban planning. Our partnership with the Government of Kenya in advancing urban development and resilience has been sustained and consequential. Over the past decade, the World Bank has been proud to invest over $1.3 billion for investments in the urban sector through 3 urban sector projects whose focus is on infrastructure, services, and urban governance, including the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Project, Governor, the Kenya Informal Settlements Improvement Project, KISIP, in 2 phases, and now, in its second phase, the Kenya Urban Support Program. Together, we have successfully navigated the intricate challenges posed by rapid urbanization, striving to bridge the gap between growth and infrastructure development. Now, the challenges arising from rapid urbanization in Kenya are well documented, and Kenya has some of the fastest urbanization on the continent. While the nation has made remarkable progress, urban infrastructure and service delivery have often struggled to keep pace with that, leaving many communities without access to essential services. Fortunately, through the strategic investments facilitated under the first phase of CUSP and other urban programs, significant progress in addressing these challenges has been made. CUSP 1 helped to strengthen urban institutions across the country and provided crucial financing for infrastructure and services. So today, we stand at the brink of a new chapter in the country's urban development journey with the approval of the $300 million World Bank credit for the second phase of CUSP. CUSP 2 represents a continuation of our shared vision for sustainable urban development in Kenya. It heralds a transformative initiative aimed at strengthening the capacities of urban boards, enhancing infrastructure and services for millions of urban residents, and fostering private sector involvement in urban planning. The benefits of CUSP 2 should be manifold. encompassing both tangible improvements such as improved infrastructure and intangible gains like enhanced governance, citizen participation, and increased capacity for mainstreaming climate resilience. As urbanization continues to shape Kenya's future landscape, it's crucial to embrace it as an opportunity for poverty alleviation, economic expansion, and service provision. In order to stimulate inclusive growth and prosperity across the country, the counties will receive incentives to provide urban boards greater autonomy and financial support, while also emphasizing climate resilience and private sector involvement. And what's more, through a $50 million grant from the IDA window for host communities and refugees, CUSP2 will support the implementation of the Refugee Act and the Sharika Plan. Specifically, it will help integrate host communities and refugee settlements and facilitate the transition of the refugee camps of Kakuma and Dadaab into new municipalities. These new vibrant urban centers, with a shared use of facilities and services, will help foster social cohesion and economic empowerment and drive shared economic growth and urban employment opportunities for host communities and refugees alike. In addition, the World Bank has committed more than $1 million in technical assistance to support the effective implementation of the program. Through the Japan World Bank program for mainstreaming disaster risk management in developing countries, we've supported the development of critical guidelines for mainstreaming climate resilience into urban plans and investments. Through the Quality Infrastructure Investment Partnership, we're providing support to enhance municipal service delivery data, improve asset management, and develop an effective framework for subnational governments to engage with the private sector. Also, through the City Planning Labs program, we're aiming to strengthen capacity for data-driven urban planning. Your Excellency, it is no exaggeration to say that effective urban planning and infrastructure investment will both literally and economically shape Kenya's destiny in this century. We in the World Bank are confident that strong investments today can help further strengthen the foundation in the future for sustainable growth, resilience, and equality of opportunity for generations to come. So in closing, let me reaffirm to you the World Bank's unwavering commitment to partnering with government in building a resilient, green, and inclusive urbanization pathway. Your Excellency, together we have the power to shape a brighter, more inclusive, and more prosperous future for all Kenyans. So indeed, the future is urban. Asanteni sana.
Your Excellency, I will not be coming back on stage, so allow me to make these final remarks. Your Excellency, most governors, when they come to see you, one of the things that they ask are markets. And because we know that majority of our people are traders. And it is because of that, in the year 2022, you asked me, where can we get this additional funding so that we can be able to support our governors to put more markets? And at that time, CUSP had been allocated $200 million. Through your intervention, we got an extra $100 million that will go towards that particular work. So governors, now you have the money. Number two, it is important to note, now for you governors, that CUSP 2 departs slightly from CUSP 1 in the sense that you will not get money automatically. There are minimum conditions that you need to meet. One of them is that you have got to deliberately transfer the functions to the municipality. It is another level of devolution. Number two, you must transfer the assets that belong to the municipality, and then you must be able to do a budget for those municipalities. Without those three key things, the money is still not yours. So I will encourage you that when you go back, you fast track on this because this money is ready, and we don't want to have an issue with allocating the resources. Lastly, Your Excellency, we are undertaking affordable housing program in almost every urban area. One of the things that is this program is going to support is the last mile. So for example, where there is like 2 kilometers of trunk sewer network, you can allocate these resources towards that. Where you need to do a road towards your affordable housing scheme, these funds are available for that. Stormwater drainage and so on and so forth. So we believe that this is the best example, Your Excellency, of what our Constitution envisioned when we talked about interdependency of governments. It has been a pleasure being your Master of Ceremony. It is now my pleasure to invite the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury to come and tell us whether the money is there yet. Karibu, Waziri.
Thank you indeed, P.S. Hinga. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, let me acknowledge all distinguished guests. I'm informed, and even my briefing was that we need to sustain the gains from Kenya Urban Support Program 1. And the government has said to implement the second Kenya Urban Program Kenya Urban Support Program 2 at the cost of 350 million, comprising of a loan of 300 million and a grant of $50 million from the World Bank. That's a total of 350 million for the next 5 years. When I was coming here, Your Excellency, I thought that my actually small task was actually to sign and carry that check here. But since then, I think it has changed. I'm forced to say a few remarks on the Kenya Urban Support Program 2 goal that is very, very important to leverage the urbanization as the road to national modernization. And it's going to be important to promote effective urban planning and management systems through counties as primary providers of public service delivery. But the most important thing is that Kenya Urban Support Program 2 aims to sustain the gains achieved through Kenya Urban Support Program 1 and will continue to strengthen the capacities of urban centers in 4 areas. First, to improve the delivery and resilience of urban infrastructure and services. You can see how it has been tested by the France. Second, to equip urban institutions with appropriate technical and financial capacities for the provision of resilient urban infrastructure and services. Third, to build the foundation for stronger engagement of the private sector. And finally, to support the transition of refugee camps into integrated host communities and refugee settlements, and using the resources under the grant component. This area will use the grants under the component. I'm happy about these 4 areas because they are very, very critical in terms of our urban development. However, as we embark on the implementation of Kenya Urban Support Program 2, I wish to urge the counties to ensure full accountability of dispersed funds under CUSP 1, or Kenya Urban Support Program 1, because failure to account for these funds may impact on further disbursement to the affected counties. It is not a warning, it's actually a matter of prudence. Then, to ensure that sustainability of the gains that have been held in the first phase and now the second phase, counties must gradually start allocating own resources for urban infrastructure and services to sustain the momentum, which is very, very critical for our development. Finally, Your Excellency, I would like to urge the Ministry to work closely with other ministries implementing other related projects like Kenya Devolution Support Program, funded by the World Bank, in order to create a synergy and have positive impact on the urbanization at the grassroots level. And this is what we are going to make sure that the momentum is created and we have tangible results. Thank you very much for this, and it's now my pleasure to invite my colleague, Professor Kidiki Kithure, to make to make his remarks. Which one do you start?
President William Ruto, and all protocols observed as established. Your Excellency, as Governor Sakaja was lamenting here about the exclusion of Nairobi and Mombasa, I was rejoicing because of the inclusion of the 2 refugee camps in this program. That is the camps in Dadaab and Kakuma, which were not part of the program phase 1 and which are now part of the program in this phase. So sorry, Governor, and just try next time. Your Excellency, sir, Kenya has been a host of many people from our region who have been affected by war and other causes of displacement in their home countries. These friends of ours from other countries have stayed with us for many years, over 3 decades, since the early 1990s. And therefore, Kenya remains as one of the most successful host countries in the world among the refugee communities. I want to thank the UNHCR and other partners and other countries of the world that have supported us even as we host these people for this long. It has been a difficult journey, and proudly for our country, I think we have done a good job, because it's not easy to host the size of the refugee community that we have, the load that we have. At the moment, 700,000 refugees are here in this country, in Dadaab and Kakuma. And this is the spirit of burden sharing in the world, as opposed to burden shifting. Your Excellency, the situation in those camps has not been very, very good in terms of social amenities. And that is why, therefore, we really appreciate the input of CUSP-2 to inject support to upgrade the social amenities in our refugee camps, transform them from camps to integrated settlements where host communities and refugees can live in dignified environment. And so as we improve the amenities in the camps and turn them into settlements, we will also be taking care of the host communities there, so that we don't create disparities in terms of standards of living and conditions of living between the refugees and the surrounding host communities. And therefore, Your Excellency, for us, it's a proud moment. This shows, this will help us as a country to be able to comply with our obligations under the United Nations Convention on the Status of Refugees of 1951 and its protocol, as well as the OAU Convention on governing specific aspects of refugee problems in Africa, as well as our own Refugees Act of 2021, which now is operational. We just gazetted last month the Refugees regulations to operationalize the Refugees Act, and that is what gives the legal framework for what we are doing here. So in a nutshell, Your Excellency, it's a proud moment for us, and we hope that the implementation of the Shirika plan, which will transform these camps into integrated settlements for refugees and host communities, will go a long way in giving dignity to our brothers and sisters who, for one reason or another, are unable to return to their countries of origin because of situations that are prevailing in those countries. With those many remarks, it's now my pleasure and privilege to invite my sister minister, Alice Wahome, who is in charge of lands, housing, public works, and urban development. Welcome, Minister.
Yeah, I'm not that short. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of our Defense Forces, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency, COG Chair, Governor Waiguru, Governor Sakaja, all Excellencies, Governors, Principal Secretaries present, including my able Principal Secretary, Charles Hinga, World Bank Country Director, Executive Director, UN Habitat, who are our great supporters also, our development partners, UN agencies present. May I just maybe mention their staff also, some of them have been very supportive in our coordination work. The World Bank itself stands out in this particular program, Your Excellency. UNHCR, because of the special, especially because of the special municipalities, Dadaab and Kakuma. Your Excellency, I have a few remarks to make. We have, maybe you allow me, before I forget, to ask the PSs who have come to stand up, we recognize them because they have been working in coordination with Hinga. Let's recognize you, please, because you not have opportunity to come here. Led by the PS National Treasury, they are all here. Thank you very much. Our staff at the ministry for a good job. Please, let's recognize you. You know, this is a state house where you are now. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. I think feel all welcome in terms of this project, Your Excellency. We are very happy for this occurrence today at State House. The remarks that I will make, Your Excellency, is that it's a significant occasion as we gather to launch the second Kenya Urban Support Program, that is KUSUP 2. It is with immense honor and profound sense of purpose that I extend a warm welcome to each one of you, recognizing the central role that you have played in shaping the future of our urban landscapes, and acknowledge the plight and pledge of KUSUP 2 that will be a vital element in building resilience. I think I've gone very fast there. That our country confronts the aftermath of these floods, and we are acutely reminded of the interconnected challenges that we face in the urban development. The escalating demand for affordable housing, resilient infrastructure, efficient transport system that we need, essential services becomes even more critical when natural disasters strike. Our most vulnerable citizens, those residing in informal settlement, bear the disproportionate burden of such events. Governor Sakaja has alluded to that. We have to reflect critically on the status of our cities and urban areas. It is evident that as a country, we are experiencing unprecedented urbanization propelled by a myriad of factors, including rural-urban migration, population growth, devolution, industrialization, as well as technological advancements, all which underscore the evolving nature of our urban centers. These hubs of activity serve not only as engines of economic growth and innovation, but also as crucibles of diversity, culture, and opportunity. Your Excellency, creating vibrant, sustainable, and inclusive cities requires a holistic approach that encompasses policy coherence, strategic planning, and targeted investments. The onus rests on both the national and the county governments to collaborate in steering the course of urban development and ensuring that the dividends of progress are equitably distributed across all segments of society. The launch of KUSUP 2 marks the commencement of the second phase of the program to enhance our urban development trajectory, leveraging on the achievements of its predecessor, the program number 1, KUSUP 1, with its focus on reinforcing governance mechanisms, enhancing institutional capacities, improving infrastructure and delivery. KUSUP 1 made an enduring impact on Kenya's urban fabric, paving the way for the sustained advancement and prosperity. Your Excellency, KUSUP 1 was implemented in 59 municipalities across 45 counties, with the exception of Nairobi and Mombasa. It is true, we left them out. And you know, we have this saying of leave no one behind. As part of the success of program, the municipalities have more than doubled and now stand at over 100. I think we need to reconcile those numbers because the governor for Kirinyaga has 109 and I have 100. I think Hinga there we need to reconcile the numbers of municipalities. The current program will build upon the triumph and insights gleaned from its forerunner, the KUSIP one, and will be implemented, I confirm, in 77 municipalities, including the refugee hosting municipalities. That is what, because the numbers allow Kakuma and Dadaab and Garissa counties, respectively. KUSIP 2 signifies a continuation of our collective commitment to transformative urban development. Your Excellency, rooted in the principles enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya, which advocates the rights to a clean, healthy environment for all citizens, KUSIP 2 embodies our commitment to sustainable development and environmental stewardship. Additionally, the program is aligned with the National Urban Development Policy. Your Excellency, we will need more funding to achieve this, and aims at fostering resilient, well-managed urban centers that serve as vibrant hubs of economic activity, social cohesion, and cultural vitality. Your Excellency, the effective implementation of this program hinges on robust partnerships, collaborative engagement, stakeholder involvement at every stage of the process by harnessing the collective expertise, resources, goodwill of government agencies, development partners, private sector entities, and local communities. We can surmount the urban challenges that confront us and forge a path towards inclusive and sustainable development. Allow me to appreciate our development partners once again, Your Excellency, the World Bank, United Nations Human Settlement Program, that is UN Habitat, Council of Governors, the Directorate of Refugee Services, and many others who we are collaborating with to ensure success of this program. In conclusion, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to all persons, all partners, and organizations dedicated to supporting the implementation of this program. Your unwavering commitment and tireless efforts are instrumental in shaping the future of our urban landscapes and enhancing the quality of life for all Kenyans. Thank you once again. Your Excellency, I know we have a partner number one in yourself, Your Excellency. When I saw you crossing Nairobi River or jumping over Nairobi River, I knew then when we come today, we will have gained a major milestone because you will push this program to see its implementation. Your Excellency, I want to confirm to the governors, it's since 2013, the Urban Areas and Cities Act did not get regulations for implementation. I want to confirm to our partners and governors that the regulations have been worked on, and last week, Parliament, delegated legislation of Parliament managed to approve it for us. We'll be remitting it to the Attorney General for publication. So we will now, after 10 years, 13 years, have regulations to implement. But may I just seek the attention of governors in terms of our towns, because we approve when you bring them. Allow robust participation of your residents, because I know members of Parliament have asked me very many questions when we were going through the regulations. They need to know how we do the delineation of the boundaries of municipalities, delineation of boundaries of towns, including markets, so that you do not get resistance when we are doing the implementation. So the regulations are available now, going to be available for you, and I'm happy for this partnership. Allow me now, Your Excellency, I was to invite Musalia Mudavadi and Heji Digadiga. Yes, Your Excellency, is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency. Allow an applause to receive His Excellency to address the gathering. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Minister. Please, let's take our seats. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this very important meeting. Last year, I participated at the Kenya Urban Forum in Naivasha, where we reflected on the need to develop adequate capacity to serve rapidly growing urban populations by investing in the radical expansion of essential housing, water, energy, transport, sanitation, and other pieces of infrastructure that would support urban planning and the reality that we live with, that the future is urban. I don't know whether it's correct to say the future is urban, or is it the present and the future is urban. It has been clear for some time now that the future of humanity is urban, and this trend applies to us in Kenya, where urbanization has been steadily growing at the annual rate of about 5%. In fact, at independence, it was 8% of the population in 1963 lived in urban centers. Today, we are at 34%. Projections indicate that this trend will continue, with urban populations expected to reach 50% by 2050. It is equally evident that lack of coordination and planning has deprived us of the numerous benefits of urbanization. Consequently, important economic drivers of development as well as high living standards lead to proliferation of insecure and unsustainable settlement patterns, which undermine dignity, security, safety, and health, while also driving environmental degradation. Looking at our cities today, looking at our urban settlements today, Hinga keeps reminding me that we have 1,410 informal settlements in Kenya, where there is no road network, scarce water, poor sanitation, sometimes no electricity, and people live in very bad conditions. And it is a stark reminder to us as leaders that there is something that urgently needs to be done to sort out the future. Because the future is urban, we must sort out urban settlements. As a matter of national policy, we are committed to enhancing urban governance and management, and with the aim of implementing effective development planning in a manner that promotes robust urban investment and the provision of inclusive, high-quality social infrastructure in all urban areas and cities throughout the country. If there is an intersection between the bottom-up economic transformation agenda's program of housing and this KUSIP program, it is because both are aligned in making sure that there is sufficient infrastructure to support urban dwellers. And therefore, this KUSIP 2 program is clearly in tandem with our plan on urban housing, because one cannot do without the other. We need the infrastructure, we need proper planning, we need roads, we need sanitation, we need stormwater management, we need non-motorable transport to be able to facilitate movement in urban areas. But if people are living in slums, it becomes not so much of a benefit. That's why a combination of our plan on social housing, on affordable housing, with this program makes a wholesome program for our cities. Urbanization, ladies and gentlemen, is both a fundamental driver and critical outcome of rapid economic growth. Kenya's under-urbanization presents an opportunity to establish a solid foundation for urban development, thereby improving economic opportunities and living conditions for millions of citizens. And let me contextualize this. The governor of Nairobi tells us that Nairobi will have 10 million people shortly. For us to remove that pressure from Nairobi, it is important for us, like the way we came up with devolution. Devolution was supposed to decongest the center and create alternative centers of growth in different parts of Kenya. Our urban planning must also give us the same opportunity. We need to decongest Nairobi and the other 5 or so major metropolises so that we create alternative settlements in smaller towns, in smaller municipalities, because we all understand that there is now competition between land that we are using for food production and land that is used for settlement. And therefore, townships, towns, and cities will give us an opportunity to remove the pressure that currently is on agricultural land by making sure that we settle people in urban centers so that we can free land that is used for agricultural production to feed the nation. Therefore, from where I sit, we have really an opportunity. Even as we think about the municipalities, I don't think the municipalities take away from the counties. In fact, I think they build the counties. They assist the counties in making sure that pressure is not concentrated on a few towns. And the more we improve governance, the more we improve facilities in the municipalities, the greater the opportunity we give ourselves to remove pressure from the large cities. It is also the reason why we discussed about the county aggregation industrial parks to try and create alternative centers of value addition, agro-processing, possibly manufacturing. It is also the reason why today we have 6 new special economic zones targeted at exports. Again, away from Nairobi, away from Mombasa, into towns like Sagana, into towns like Thika, into Naivasha, into Nakuru, into Busia, and we will continue to expand those facilities so that we make sure that we create real alternative centers of growth, working with counties as we manage this imminent urbanization. Well-managed urbanization is integral to our economic development agenda, aligning with Vision 2030 and the attainment of sustainable development goals. Our investment in infrastructure expansion, connectivity enhancement, and overall accessibility, safety, and security improvements are informed by the fact that urban areas are the epicenters of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We must therefore be involved in designing and implementing the institutional architecture necessary to manage these vital investments. Accordingly, the Kenya Urban Support Program 1 has enabled us to establish foundational institutions that will drive our sustainable and inclusive urbanization agenda. Primarily, this will be the 77 municipalities as well as 2 special municipalities across 45 counties. This is a substantial portion of the 300 urban areas identified in Kenya, 220 of which require development investment in order to achieve our urbanization policy objectives. I am therefore encouraged that Kenya Urban Support Program 1 delivered the foundation from which we shall now proceed to actualize our ambition of holistically achieving sustainable urban development by enhancing the resilience of infrastructure and services, engaging the private sector in urban planning, and development and integrating refugee camps with host communities. We all agree that our urban development strategy requires sustainable financing, but this has not been forthcoming at the levels expected. It is crucial, therefore, that the World Bank's $350 million or 46.5 billion funding for the second Kenya Urban Support Program is utilized responsibly and optimized for maximum benefits. Let me say this. We've been informed here that KUSIP 1 was satisfactory. I think that tells us something. Satisfactory is not good. We just managed. Maybe we got a C or something. I think it is important, and it's now a reminder for us, that KUSIP 2 must be excellent. We must all work together towards making KUSIP 2 a real game changer. And several components have been put there to make sure that this succeeds. I'm very happy that the World Bank country director has said that there is $100 million to support this program on capacity building. It is very important that that money is deployed to make sure that this program is understood and this program succeeds. Capacity building is very important because it gives us the framework and the understanding so that the implementation of this program can move seamlessly. I want to ask the World Bank to make sure that the resources, at least for capacity building, comes ahead of any other resources, so that those in municipalities, those in counties, staff in our ministry can understand this program to avoid wastage, to avoid pilferage, to avoid corruption, and to avoid theft. Because the reason why we were qualified as satisfactory is because certain things did not go properly. We must get it right this time round. I want to commit to my colleagues, governors, and leaders here that we will go out of our way to assist you to make sure that this program is implemented in an accountable manner so that the people of Kenya get value for the resources that eventually we are going to pay. Equally critical is the county governments to increase on-source revenue and to allocate a greater portion to urban development activities. For our part, the national government is establishing the National Urban Development Fund to anchor the urban development agenda in a sustainable framework. I have already asked the Ministry of responsible for lands, housing and urban planning, and Treasury to sit together so that we can put a framework in place that will give us the resources, working with other partners, to assist us manage the big cities and urban areas so that Sakaja doesn't have to complain that they are left out in this program. But Sakaja has mentioned one more very important thing, that municipalities, cities, and urban areas bring Kenyans from all walks of life into one place, and they create a home there. It helps in the homogeneity of our society, bringing Kenyans together, working together. I think it is a very positive thing. It is not a negative thing when Kenyans come and live together and bond together. That is the future. And I think we should encourage townships, municipalities, cities, because that way we not only remove pressure from land for agricultural production, but we also bring Kenyans into a space where we deal with the challenge of ethnicity that undermines our nationhood as a people. There is no doubt that climate change will continue to pose mounting challenges to our development and serious threats to human health and safety, especially in urban areas, where 60% of residents live in informal settlements. I say this statement of 60% with a very heavy heart, because informal settlements, ladies and gentlemen, are very unhygienic, very indecent livelihoods where Kenyans live. And we must do whatever it takes, using the resources we have. The resources we have under COSEP will help us do planning. These resources will help us deal with stormwater, will help us deal with sewage, will help us deal with lighting, will help us deal with titling and organizing our informal settlements. And our housing plan will help us have decent homes for these Kenyans. We have close to 7 million people in Kenya living in informal settlements, and they deserve our attention. The ongoing flooding, owing to abnormally high rainfall, underscores the urgent need for us to address this issue with very particular and specific attention. I am therefore delighted that the second urban support program has a strong climate change mitigation and resilience component, which further demonstrates our commitment to build adaptable cities and communities that are resilient in the face of dynamic environmental risks. In particular, the focus on the most vulnerable through building climate resilience for the urban poor is very commendable, and I will be looking out specifically for municipalities, cities, and towns that are keen on making sure that we support the urban poor. The synergy between the Kenya Urban Support Program and our bottom-up economic transformation agenda is unmistakable. In particular, the program's alignment with the affordable housing strategy pillar presents a unique opportunity to invest in urban infrastructure that supports the realization of the affordable housing objectives in order to deliver holistic, sustainable, and inclusive urban development. As we embark on implementing the second urban support program, we must take advantage of both the achievements and lessons of its predecessor, the most salient of which is the seamless coordination and effective partnership between the national and county governments. The State Department of Housing remains our focal point and must redouble its effort to ensure the project's success is achieved. And I'm very happy staff of the Ministry of the Department of Housing are here to listen to me say this. It is very important. With their tremendous contribution to GDP, our urban areas are significant economic engines and centers of technology development and innovation. In fact, the 5 largest cities alone account for over 70% of our total GDP in Kenya. It follows that their governance and management matters fundamentally for national development. It is critical that county governments prioritize the establishment of full-fledged urban institutions with robust governance and management. Again, I heard Hansen say clearly that they are also going to use resources to support the governance of these cities. I want to ask my friends governors, it is a mark of very strong leadership if you can delegate and if you can make sure that these municipalities have some measure of autonomy for them under your supervision to make sure that they deliver on the program that you give to them. It is really a mark of very strong leadership if you can assign other people to do the job at that other level. Of course, still under your management and supervision. And I think this program will be keen on how governance relations between the municipalities, the cities, the counties, of course, and the national government, how we relate for the better delivery of this program. I take this opportunity to appreciate with gratitude the support of the World Bank, whose investment and leadership have done so much for the transformation of our centers of accelerated development. We do not take your partnership, Hansen and your organization, for granted. We believe this partnership is a partnership that gives us a win-win outcome. It is also important for me to thank the participating county governments for their commitment, which has been demonstrated time and time again over the course of this initiative. I look forward to witnessing a more urgent, focused, and ambitious approach to this program. Let me say this in conclusion. As I have said, this program talks to an imperative that we cannot change: urbanization. As to whether the future is urban or not, I think we have settled that subject. The future is urban. It is now up to us. Are we going to have towns, municipalities, and cities that are planned, or are we going to leave it to be chaotic and confused? The responsibility is ours. Now, with KUSIP 1, we made some strides. We saw a lot of non-motorable transport, several hundred kilometers. We saw a lot of stormwater management. We saw a lot of sewage extension programs. We saw planning of different parts of cities. We now have an opportunity to scale that up. And the resources now we have will give us an opportunity, as we do housing. You have the opportunity, working with us, to make sure that that program dovetails into this KUSIP program in terms of where you choose to deploy the road infrastructure, where you choose to deploy our sewage management system, where you choose to deploy non-motorable pathways and those other programs, how we plan cities more. We have agreed that the program of housing is going to be done in conjunction with the county governments. The housing fund now has representation from multi-stakeholders so that we can all move together as we plan our cities. As I have said, there is $100 million, Hansen, did you say, for capacity, $1 million. $1 million for capacity building. Those resources are important, as I said, so that we can improve on the governance, we can improve on the understanding, and it gives us better leverage on the understanding to deliver on this program. So again, we appreciate the $100 million, the $1 million, sorry, and I will ask the National Treasury, in the event that there is need for that kitty to be expanded, we should expand that kitty for greater understanding and greater knowledge, so that we can make sure that all those who will have an opportunity to deliver on this program have the requisite understanding, so that we don't get a satisfactory outcome, we get an excellent outcome this time around. Let me also say that there's a component that has been said contextualizing this program about on-source revenue. I know when we speak about on-source revenue, there is a bit of discomfort. But let me say this. Of the money we have here is $300 million. That's about 40 billion. That 40 billion is a loan. It is not free money. And it is money that has been contributed by other countries. And those countries have had to collect money from their citizens to give to World Bank, so that World Bank can loan to us. It's just as simple as that. It means even as we use other people's savings, we must begin to grow our own savings. That is the message. Because this loan we have to pay. It's not free money. So we must begin to internalize own source revenue. The same way, nationally, we are internalizing raising our own taxes. It is just as simple as that. There is no free lunch anywhere in the world. Even as we clap for the World Bank, and they are very good people, and they are friends, but this is money we will pay. You know, when we say we thank the World Bank, people think they have given us money. They have loaned us money. So to understand, to elewane. So as we look for the loan, at the back of our minds, we must be thinking, in future, how do we make sure we don't have to look for a loan? We will build our own capacity to raise our own resources. So, my friends, governors, let us also focus on on-source revenue. It will make your work very easy. I like the conditions that have been attached to this money. You know, I was speaking to the chair of the Council of Governors there, and he was telling me, it looks like we will never get this money. They have said, go do this, you must do this, and then do this also. But that's what it is, you know. This is money we have to pay, so we have to make sure that there are sufficient conditions that make sure that it doesn't get lost. So I would encourage us, and the World Bank have been phenomenal in support for Kenya. We must be grateful. But you can see, even as they give us this money, they are reminding us that you must use it well and you must pay. So we must think about how to raise our own resources as well. That will go a long way in making sure the partnership between us and the World Bank is meaningful. The World Bank must also know that we appreciate their money, but we are also doing something about raising our own resources. Let me say this in conclusion, that the partnership we have, and it's a very positive partnership, now that we have our housing program, we have COSIP, and we have what majority of counties are working with us towards the delivery of this plan, because we all appreciate that the future is urban. We must also build an urban future that integrates all the communities of the Republic of Kenya. This urbanization must help us solve the question of ethnicity and give Kenyans a chance to live together. And why do I say that? Amongst the two cities, the ones Professor Kindiki talked about, is Dadaab and Kakuma. So Dadaab and Kakuma, we have communities who don't come from Kenya. These are communities that come from elsewhere. But what have we done as a country? We have said, if somebody has stayed for 30 years in Kenya, their children have been born in Kenya, they certainly belong to Kenya. And therefore, we need also to support them with livelihoods. We need to support them to do business. We need to support them to grow the towns. So let me ask you, if we are giving an opportunity for people who are not even Kenyan, why shouldn't we support other Kenyans to live in all the towns that we have in Kenya? I mean, it just makes sense. That should be the case. That's the natural. Because we now live in a global village. We like it, we don't like it. As we are talking, we are busy signing another 19 bilateral labor agreements for Kenyans to go and work in other people's cities. So we must reciprocate by making sure that those people from other areas also have a home in Kenya, the way Kenyans have homes in other cities of the world. So we need to work together in that direction. And I'm really proud of the partnership between the national and county governments and our partners, the World Bank and all the other agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, the second phase of the Kenya Urban Support Program is now officially launched. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Asante sana.
One more round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'll request that we take our seats briefly, Your Excellency, with your permission. If we may take our seats briefly once, Your Excellency. And to symbolize the commencement of the refugee window, we will now have signing of the Intergovernmental Participation Agreement. And allow me to now call His Excellency Nathif Adam, Ajama Adam, Governor Garissa County, to just come and take a seat here as we are going to sign this. Also, allow me to invite the CS for Ministry of Lands, Public Works and Housing, CS Alice Wahome, to also come and take a seat. And Your Excellency, with your permission, if I may call upon you to maybe just stand behind and witness. And to join you, also let's have the COG Chair, Anne Waiguru, Governor Kisumu. Let's also have the CS Housing and CS Treasury to just come and witness the signing of this particular agreement. COG Chair, Governor Kisumu County. Oh, okay. And also CS Treasury. That is the Intergovernmental Participation Agreement, which is also going to bring in the host counties. After this, we have a presentation of a check, which His Excellency with those signed, we'll request that we remove the table and have a photo opportunity with His Excellency and those on stage. If we can remove the table kindly. And the chairs. If I may invite His Excellency to stand in the middle and the rest of us to flank kindly for the photo opportunity. And after that, we have the check presentation. So allow me to invite the Keith Hansen to also join in this particular photo opportunity. If we can have the check, please. Thank you. If we can withdraw the check and maybe have all the governors present, if all the governors present can come for a photo opportunity. All governors. Thank you. If the governors can take their seat, then we have the last photo, which is the National Program Coordination Team, together with the Program Technical Committee and CUSP Launch Secretariat. I'll repeat that. We have the National Program Coordinating Team, the Program Technical Committee, and the CUSP Launch Secretariat to join His Excellency for a photo opportunity before we finish with the national anthem. Please ensure you stand somewhere you can be seen. Find a gap, because the numbers are quite large. Find a gap, please. It's a large team. Thank you very much. I'll request that we all take back our seats. We'll leave His Excellency on stage for the national anthem. The rest of us, let's kindly retreat and take our positions where we were. Those of us who are seated, let's be upstanding as we are going to finish with the national anthem. So kindly, let's take our positions, our seats. The national anthem. We've come to the end of this session. We'll allow His Excellency to leave at his own pleasure.